What is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now, today's video, we are reviewing Hocus Pocus 2. I did a review of Hocus Pocus a few days ago, so if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. But for this one, we are gonna have a chat about Hocus Pocus 2. If you've seen my other video, as you would have known, I went and rewatched the Hocus Pocus at an outdoor cinema. I had seen Hocus Pocus before, but it was years ago and I didn't remember it that well, but rewatching it, I loved it and I got really into it. So I was like, I just kind of thought, like, it felt so nostalgic to watch the first one. I felt like I had to definitely go and see what the second one was about. I avoided spoilers, didn't really know much about it. Overall, I think the second one, it did pretty well in my opinion. Obviously this isn't spooky or like super scary, it's a completely different vibe, but it's a film based on Halloween, as they both are, so I felt like it was just fitting for the month. But no, I think it was a decent film. Like, I wanted to keep watching, I was entertained, and you know, I think when you bring back like such nostalgic characters, obviously like the three sisters, they're such icons, everyone knows who they are, you know, everyone wants to be them for Halloween. Like, there's so many reasons as to why they're so popular. I liked like the new cast that they brought in as well. Becca, who's played by Whitney Peak, I think she did a really good job, and also she had really good skin. That's all I can think about when I was watching her. She had really nice skin. I think she did a really good job of just sort of carrying the film, because I mean there's a lot to live up to, and I think they chose these actors very well. You know, they were obviously it was set in modern day, so they were trying to make it more modern, but then still have like the Hocus Pocus feel to it, the 1993 feel to it, and it did everything. It did it all, you know. I think the witches, all three of them, did so well. Again, they all seriously delivered, and I think it was even more interesting, like, seeing them trying to operate in like our time in like 2022, like in like way in the future. Obviously this is like way after the first original film. I think it was just cool to see like how far they've come, and them still trying to understand what people are saying, what things mean. It's got that funny comedic side to it. I love how they bring back Billy, the dead boyfriend. I love how we bring him back and he like helps the kids. You know, they did, in my opinion, I think they did everything right, you know, following up from the first one. Obviously, it's, with anything, it's, you know, it's not the sequel or whatever, nothing is ever going to be as good as the original. You know, the original always wins and is always better, and I do think that. I think, you know, obviously this idea of Hocus Pocus and the witches, we've already explored that, so I think the first one is still sort of a winner for me. I don't think the second one was better, because I just prefer how the first one was set in the 90s as well. I think that helped, gives you that nostalgic feel. It allows you to see and enjoy like a time period that we don't see nowadays. So yeah, I think like this film was relevant to now, to our time, which I think can have a lot of people connect to it. A lot of people will enjoy it more because, you know, we're living in this time, and I'm sure like in like 20-30 odd years people are gonna look back on Hocus Pocus 2 and it maybe feel nostalgic for them. I also thought it was interesting how they had like Becca have powers, so like in a way there was like a bigger threat to the witches, whereas obviously in the original it's more like these witches are chasing these children and the children are like using just like other methods to try and destroy them. You know, I thought that was interesting because, you know, there was some threat to the witches. It wasn't, you know what I mean, like they have like the ring of salt, obviously, that they do. There's multiple ways to stop them, so it sort of makes you want to fight more for the characters and want them to live and survive, and want the main characters to be okay. I also thought Gilbert was a really fun character too. He played a really fun character, a really fun role. I know he's been in a few other things that I've seen him in, but I thought I did like his character, and I thought he was quite comedic and funny in just the way that he was sort of acting and presenting himself. But I have to just talk about like the opening of this film, like when we see the three sisters as kids. Props to those kids because they did so well. Like you wouldn't even have to, you could have the TV on mute and like, you know, like you would just know who they are. I think like the costume department did so well. The children actors, the way that they were directed were just done so well. I think Winfred as well, when she's a kid, she just plays the part on point to a T. She did so well. And you know, they're all recognizable individuals when they're kids, and obviously when they also are grown up. So yeah, I think at the end as well, we when we wrap everything up, I think, you know, the story ends on like a bittersweet, like it just ends bittersweet. Like we have obviously Winfred cast a spell and then she loses both the sisters, and then she just realizes that she's on her own, and it's like it's either she's on her own or she can go and sort of disappear with them and be with them, and obviously she chooses to stay with them and have them by her side, and then they all disappear. And I think that had like a really strong message behind it, and although kids may not recognize that or clock that, you know, for adults it's like that deeper meaning, of like it's always better, it's better to have people by your side than, you know, sort of be on your own. And I think that was a really good message. I think it was like sweet and cute, and just a nice way to end everything off, in my opinion. I think the last thing that we have to talk about though, so Sarah Jessica Parker obviously plays Sarah as one of the witches. What on God's name was going on with the makeup department? Because her makeup, like, I'm sorry, but she kind of did, she looked like a clown. She looked dumb. Like she had so much, she has her, obviously her dark eye makeup, which she has in the original, but like she's got these like thick eyebrows, and when she like scrunches up her face, it all like merges and blends into one. And like every time she was on screen, I was just like sat there like, what have they done to her? Like, that's embarrassing. Like why is the makeup so like full on? Like it wasn't like that in the original. Like I'm aware they're old, but like it just didn't look good, and it was hard to sort of see her face and her features half the time because of the amount of makeup that they had on her. I don't really see why they did that, and I think maybe the makeup department went a bit over the top with the way that she looks, but I think Winfred and Mary look great. So that would be like my only issue with the sort of makeup costume department. So yeah, like I said before, I don't think this tops the first one because it's never going to be as nostalgic. I think it's still like it's been a while as well since this first one, so I think bringing this back, bringing the witches back after so many years, I think they did a good job. I think, you know, they picked a decent story that is engaging for kids and adults, just like the first. You know, there's some good jokes, there's some jokes that kids will get and adults will also get. You know, there's just a lot of detail and imagination, everything that goes into the story, and I think they did pretty well. You know, obviously there was a lot of pressure on this as well because of how popular the original is, and it didn't flop for me. I don't think it flopped. I think it did pretty well. So if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. I think the first one deserves like a 7 out of 10. I don't think I rated it in my other video, so those would be my ratings for those. So Hocus Pocus 1, 7 out of 10. Hocus Pocus 2, 6 out of 10. They're both pretty good films, and I recommend both of them for spooky season or just to generally watch for like the colder months because it's just set in that time. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you're having a good October. We're almost at the end of spooky month. This video will be coming out, and then I will have one more coming out for the end of October, and it is a good one, so stay tuned for that video. I'm very, very excited to see the film that I'm going to review for the 31st, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good one, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.